Hello there, I'm Big Alias, and it's late, it's dark, it's midnight DJ time. Couple of beers, let's sink a couple of beers, let's chat about some stuff over some Call of Duty gameplay. It's that time of the year when I love doing this, but I do, it's great. I want to talk about some stuff, and I'm stressed. I'm really stressed. God, I'm really stressed right now. So I'm gonna have some drinks. I'm gonna listen to Nubio Garcia, who is just a phenomenal jazz artist who blends jazz and orchestral music so perfectly that it's just like transcendent. It's really beautiful, and just sometimes you'll just hold back, and the strings will just poke through, and it will just tug at your heart. Like, beautiful stuff. So I'll probably trying to chill doing that, but I want to have a chat with you first. I want to talk about some stuff, and maybe get annoyed along the way. So I've been reading about some stuff, some gaming stuff. For the uninitiated, Black Ops is doing well. I saw a bunch of videos leading up to the launch of Black Ops 6 saying that this is it, the game's gonna fail, it's done. Here is why Black Ops 6 is gonna fail. It's the most successful Call of Duty launch of all time. There are genuinely ISPs in my country that are measuring a huge increase in volume purely based off the Black Ops 6 launch. That is crazy, and I love seeing stats like that because I love seeing video games succeed. I don't like seeing billionaires get richer, I know, but seeing games succeed, it's always nice. It's always a nice feeling. And speaking of which, Dragon Age Veilguard, I believe it's called, that is apparently doing well too. It's reviewing well, got a 9 out of 10 on IGN, and is doing well in the Steam charts as well. Contrary to what people were saying prior to the game, oh my god, it's going to fail, it's going to flop, go woke, go broke. This is what we're about to talk about. Oh my god, absolutely ridiculous, because apparently the game would, I don't know, let you have trans characters, let rainbow colors exist. I don't know, anything that triggers all of these incels to the point where they wet their pants because someone's wearing a t-shirt with a rainbow on it. So anything along those lines. I don't even know what they're complaining about anymore, and I am deep in the gaming sphere. I know I very much keep up to date with all of this stuff, and I genuinely don't even know what they're complaining about anymore. But yes, apparently you don't go broke when you go woke. Or do you? I think certain things happen. This is where we get deeper into the conversation. I think certain things happen that make you realize the importance of the internet, and shifts perspective on the importance and the weight of the internet and how important these conversations are. And I know that on the IGN review that gave the game a 9 out of 10, that it has tons of dislikes, thousands, and I know that a lot of people are screaming go woke, go broke. Meanwhile, it is doing well, and it's easy to ask yourself, why has this happened? Everyone was boycotting this, no one was happy about this. And of course, on the other side of the coin, when people were trying to boycott Hogwarts Legacy, it did tremendously well too. Why is this happening? And that's where we get to the subject of these conversations aren't really as big as you might think. They don't matter quite as much as you would think either. What is the quintessential, this is one way to put it into perspective, what's the quintessential game review channel, site, service? IGN? What's the worst game review /site/service? Oh, was it IGN? There's a reason why, constantly people, you read any review for a game reviewed by IGN, and every comment is either talking about how bad the review is, how bad IGN are, or how, they actually got it right for once. So I can't believe that. It's everyone questions the integrity of the reviewer. And yet, for as long as I've been on YouTube, they've, I think, for the most part, been the biggest and most credible source for reviews on the entirety of YouTube, and that has never gone. Because we can talk about it all we want, we can scream about it, but ultimately these things don't change. And I think it confuses things. I think I get very torn up on this, because I can't personally differentiate between what is important, what are important conversations, and what matters in terms of the overall online conversation currently, and what doesn't, and what just falls on deaf ears and doesn't matter. You know, like Captain Marvel, people saying go woke, go broke, and it made over $1 billion. But then the Marvels, people said go woke, go broke, and it I don't even think it made a profit. And I see these Instagram posts from people that I follow. For anyone who somehow doesn't know Left Wing, and I see, you know, artists who are obviously left wing, clearly left wing, they always have been. I was like REM and Radiohead and all these people who have always been tremendously left, saying, okay, we're going to back Kamala Harris or whoever, and people saying, this is, oh, not another one, oh, not you again, oh, this is ridiculous, and Trump, and all of these comments. And if you read that, if you just isolated that, you would think that he would win by a landslide, and yet the early polls have him losing the popular vote. And you could hear this conversation and completely disagree with me and scream at me and get mad at me, but I'm objectively correct, and that is what the polls say. Is it right? Will she win by a landslide? No, I don't think so. Will she lose by a landslide? No, I certainly don't think so. I'm not going to try to predict who's going to win the presidency. I know who would very much scare me if they won. But yeah, I'm right. I'm objectively correct. These things are happening, and yet the conversation would not lead you to think this. The conversation in my comments wouldn't lead you to think this. You know, people hated me for saying that I thought Vultures One by Kanye and 21 Savage, I think it was embarrassing, and yet it reviewed awfully and even had poor user scores across the bench. These conversations just don't seem to matter. I don't know, and I think it's a comfort. I think it's a comfort to tell yourself that you can receive negative comments on these videos, and you will. You can receive dislikes. I get it all the time. People don't like what I post a lot of the time, because I don't really go with the grain. I just make my own thing, and that's fine. But I think it does serve to try to pull back and look at the larger conversation and compare what's happening in these tiny little echo chambers and narrow sections, and compare them to what's happening worldwide and sort of everywhere and in every facet of humanity and society, and to realize that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just not as impactful as it feels or as it seems, and it's hard to convince yourself of that. It is, but I think it is important to remember that, and important to remember that having a voice and creating conversations and your influence in doing that in terms of the online conversation is important, and it does have an effect. But what you read online is not exactly what's happening in the world. I just think that's very interesting. It's something that I've contemplated a lot in recent years, and I will not stop. But that was the Midnight DJ. I'll see everyone later.
The PlayStation is only $149, and you can also get leading titles.